Yes, that I've not had time to go. iTiS Well of Worship Fellowship. iTiS is in Truth and in Spirit Well of Worship Fellowship. Today is Thursday, meaning we discuss the top stories of the week. What has been making headlines around Uganda, around East Africa, Africa at large. It's been quite an eventful week on many fronts. The president is still going around the country on his, I don't know what to call them, wave tours, PDM tours, or whatever it is called. This week is in the Karamoja sub-region. And I've previously wondered whether that 4-acre model can actually work. And if it works, why isn't it replicated all over the country? Okay, if someone can earn 500 million from 4 acres, why isn't that a common thing? Because the people own big chunks of land who don't earn that. Yeah, so there's that. Of course, Besigye in the court martial has also made news during this week. Martha Karua from Kenya landed over the weekend. She didn't get her practicing certificate in time. And of course, the case was adjourned to Monday. Hopefully, by then she'll have her practicing certificate. But she said the other lawyers she's expecting from around Uganda, rather Africa, Pan-African lawyers, as many as 50. I don't know why this case needs 50 lawyers. I'm not a lawyer myself, so I wouldn't know why you would need all those many lawyers on a case. Not that it's a small case. I think treason and possession of arms is a serious offense, but well, I don't know. Yeah, so that has been happening too in Uganda. On Sunday, we marked World AIDS Day. Previously, we've got reports that the AIDS prevalence is going up again. After the ABC strategy of the 90s, you remember, the president came out really strong on AIDS, encouraged people to use condoms and to abstain, and the rate went down, really down, but we are starting to see a rise again, especially in Western Uganda, according to the statistics we got. It is now more prevalent in Western Uganda, but of course, even Central too. So why is AIDS, the prevalence going up all over again, all right? That has made news as well. I want us to talk about the Uganda Law Society after they elected Isaac Ssemakadde as president, whose campaign slogan was "Bang the Table." He has clearly gone on to bang the table, or should I say he's banging many tables right now. One of the tables he banged while he was at the FDC breakaway faction of Katonga was to call the IGG, that lady Abodo. She called her the V word, which didn't go down well with many, some lawyers, not many. Many lawyers came out and disowned him. They said he doesn't represent us, and so on and so forth. I mean, and so on and so forth. So I wanted to discuss ULS in light of Ssemakadde's actions, not just calling the DPP a colorful word, but many other things he has done as ULS president. Is he really banging the table? What does banging the table look like? Does it throw out all decorum? Are you at liberty to call anybody any name as long as you can hide behind the law? And so on and so forth. And then, of course, in our social topic, we'll discuss Australia, which passed a law starting January 2025 that 16 years and below children will not be allowed on social media, which I think is a landmark law. But clearly, there's always, the law typically comes in to address a problem. Clearly, they've had a problem for the longest time. And by the time they enact a law such as this one, I think they have their good reasons. So we'll discuss whether it's really practical. At what age should a child be given a phone? In Uganda here, we see 5-year-olds being given phones by their parents. That's because when the parents need time alone, they say, hey, kali kwate simu. So they give their phone to a child, and children go on to all these sites and do all sorts of things. So at what age should a child be given a phone? I know somebody with a 19-year-old who still uses a kabiriti. Well, yeah, so we'll discuss that. At what age should a child be allowed on social media? Because I also know adults who can't manage themselves. So is it a case of just age? I mean, the physical age, or there are other factors to consider before you get on social media? Yeah. So welcome. That's how we're going to move today. Let's start with World AIDS Day. I think it's not a surprise that the AIDS prevalence is going up again in Uganda, knowing what we know now and seeing what we see. All our music videos, for example, if you see how they dress in those videos, how they dance, the kind of acting or propping they do in those videos, that's just a small sample space, of course. If you see our TV stations and the kinds of topics they discuss, if you go to social media, if you're in any WhatsApp group, the only trending content in those groups is either nudity, someone's nudes leaked, either within Uganda here or worldwide, sex videos and so on and so forth. So is it really a surprise when the AIDS prevalence goes up? What have we dropped? Are we still following the ABC strategy? Okay, Masaz, let me start with you on this one. Why are we seeing a rise in the AIDS prevalence all over again? I thought we had overcome this issue.
Thank you, moderator. I think the problem is really serious because, as you rightly pointed out, the statistics suggest that we are failing to check the spread of this disease. More people are getting infected, and you are asking why. I think this is a personal opinion. I'm not saying that I've carried out research and concluded this is what is causing the problem. I think the problem has a lot to do with the fact that we are a poor country. You have people who are unemployed, women, for example, who are looking for men to rely on financially, and there are men who are infected with HIV/AIDS. They know that they are infected, but they don't talk about it. When they start sexual relationships with women, they still keep this a secret. They don't tell these women. And the women, because they are desperate for a source of living, they don't say, well, before I sleep with you, we have to go for an HIV test. They don't do that. So they end up sleeping with a man who is already infected with HIV. And so I think that is one of the reasons. I was looking at the statistics from the World Health Organization. When they marked this day last Sunday, they shared statistics about this disease, and they say that in 2023, an estimated 39 million people were living with HIV globally. If you look critically at this figure, you will find that the highest proportion belongs to those places where poverty is prevalent. 630,000 people died from HIV-related causes in 2023. Again, I don't think that 630,000 people were mostly in Western Europe, in North America, in the Far East. No, they are going to tell you Sub-Saharan Africa. And you can't really rule out poverty. It is still a problem. Then another reason, in my humble opinion, is that people generally have weaknesses, and this cuts across all sections of society. It's not only poor people, it's not modestly educated people. You have people who enjoy middle class trappings. They can go to a bar, start drinking, and after they get drunk, they sleep with people whose zero status they don't know. And it so happens that those people are infected. So they get the disease just like that, recklessly, because you really have to ask yourself, why is it that people are still contracting HIV/AIDS when we know, everybody on this platform knows, millions of Ugandans know that if you sleep with someone, you've not gone for an HIV test, you don't know if this person does not have HIV, there is a good chance of contracting this disease. Why, if we know this, people are still contracting HIV/AIDS? The short answer is the weakness that I'm talking about, that we all have. You find it in women, you find it in men. A woman can sleep with a man when the guy, when both have not gone for an HIV test, it still happens.
Musazi, maybe, sorry to cut you short, maybe it is because now there are solutions to this AIDS problem. You know, in the beginning, if you remember the filial age, me, I grew up around that age. The hair would fall off, the skin would become all types of ashy and wrinkled. Nowadays, you can't even tell a person who has HIV/AIDS by just looking at them. So maybe because there are all these interventions, now people don't really care. Like, it's not a death sentence like it used to be.
That's a very good point you've made, because before this forum started, I was looking at, again, on the website of the WHO, and they say that if you are consistent in using antiretroviral therapy, we all know what that means, it reduces your viral load to such an extent that it is not even detectable, which means that you are, in effect, living without HIV/AIDS. If you cannot transmit it, which they say is possible as long as the viral load has been significantly reduced. So I agree entirely that that's another factor. I think that's all I have to say about the issue of HIV.
All right, thank you. And of course, we've seen that as I go to Peter in Chambugo. Peter, unmute yourself. We've also seen that the AIDS vaccine, or is it called the HIV vaccine, is under trial. In fact, in Uganda, it's going to be under trial next year, if I'm not mistaken. Meaning, instead of swallowing the ARVs daily, all you need is an injection, I think, every 6 months, and then you're good to go. So really, with those kinds of interventions, how do you expect? Yes?
That kind of intervention will be greatly welcome, because it actually deals with the weaknesses that I am talking about, because people really fail to have control over themselves, especially when things like alcohol come in. There is music, alcohol, someone has looked at a woman that has really wowed them. If you have a vaccine, it really does help. Unfortunately, it has taken us decades to find a vaccine for HIV.
Okay, thank you, Musazi. Peter, what do you think? You can start with the vaccine issue and then you go to the other factors.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm a teacher and have an experience with my learners. I don't know what the statistics say, but I think HIV still is prevalent. I think more prevalent in those below the age of 25. Is that right?
We can find the statistics, but yes, mainly in younger people.
Yeah. Well, when I was growing up in our generation, I think everyone here, Jethro, AB, Musasi rather, and Pastor White, I think we are within the same generation. All of us, I think, here on this platform, we grew up among strict parents and strict parenthood. Again, at a slight provocation, you know, we grew up in that fear. And I want to tell you that fear disabused us from a lot of evils, to an extent that some of us first had our intercourse at the age of 29, which I doubt whether it can happen today. Why? Because we had fear. Now, today, the generation we have today, the 20s and the teens, have no fear at all, because they have no experience. They have not seen what it means to be HIV positive. Anything, I mean, nothing have they seen. So they have no cause for fear. So there is what I shall call constructive fear that is going lacking amongst the teenagers and the Gen Zs, you know? So, and I think that will continue rising until fear of fright, in fact, fright is restored. Waliwo ebintu ebimu ng'abantu abatannategeera nnyo basaana kukuumirwa mu kutya. Bw'ojjawo okutya oba obasse bussi. I would like to submit.
Thank you. I remember when I finished S4, the day after our exams, we were called back to school and we were showed a documentary of HIV, STDs, STIs, and all these things in the real gross sense, if you know what I mean. I remember I went into my S4 vacation. If I told I had any ideas, my friend, I tell you I'm lying. But it is. Anyway, Isaiah is on the move. So Isaiah, when you're able to speak, please you let me know and I give you a chance. For now, let's talk about the Besigye issue. Musaz, I'm going to come back to you. Unfortunately, I have only you and Peter here today. So for now, you bear with me. Why does
No
Besigye need
problem.
50?
I
don't
came
understand
here
why
to
he needs 50
listen. I came here to listen and to talk. So if you pick on me, no problem at all. The Besigye issue is really interesting. NBS's Njala Kagwa was interviewing his wife, and he put it to her that, you know, you've given so many interviews. Previously, you've not been very much in public view when Kizza Besigye has had problems. Some people are saying that you are playing to the gallery. He also mentioned the fact that Ufuno Pondo has been saying that Kizza Besigye actually may have a case to answer. And then Winnie dismissed Ufuno Pondo, saying that don't even bring Ufuno Pondo into this conversation. You know, Ufuno Pondo is a public thief. That was, of course, a reference to the shoplifting incident in which Ufuno Pondo was involved many years ago. I think it was in 2005 or thereabouts. But I want to repeat what I said last time, which is that The Besigye case is interesting in a sense that here is a gentleman approaching his 70s. Politically, he's becoming weak. Someone 7 does not really expect a lot of threat, significant threat from Kizza Besigye politically. If anything, it is Bobby Wine, but even Bobby Wine knows that as long as he's in power, Bobby Wine cannot become president. It's inconceivable that Bobby Wine can win an election. He is sworn in, and Yoweri Museveni is living somewhere in Uganda, merely looking on. I don't think it can happen. So, if you go for Besigye, there must be compelling reasons. There must be compelling reasons, given the fact that he is not the threat right now. Those who think that maybe the intelligence was sexed up, it is fake, they have a point, because this is politics. Governments can do anything. So until you have evidence on both sides, you know what really is going on in Kizza Besigye's life. You are Winnie Byanyima, for example. But even if you are Winnie Byanyima, sometimes husbands do things that their spouses do not know anything about. It's possible. Your husband is a robber. You are his wife, but you know nothing about his robbery activities. So I don't think that if Kizza Besigye is going to engage in subversive activities, Winnie Byanyima should know. She probably wouldn't know. So you need to know what is going on in the life of Besigye, what is Besigye doing on a daily basis for you to stand up and say, no, he's being falsely accused of engaging in terrorism. You really need to know what is going on the side of the government to say that they are framing him, that the allegations against him are, made up. We do not know. We are just watching. And the courts of law, unfortunately, in Uganda are not even independent, so you don't know how things will pan out. I am saying, and I've said this to many people I talk to, that if the evidence against Besigye has been made up, I mean, it's like someone saying that, Musazi, you broke into Jethro's house in the wee hours of the night, but you were in your bedroom. There is no way that is going to be sustained, because the truth eventually is going to come out. If Besigye is not conspiring against the government, not in any way involved in subversive terror, what is the word? Treasonable activities, the truth is going to come out. You can't really make it up. You try, but again, somehow the truth will come out, because the truth they keep saying really can't be smothered. You can't kill it. It's always there. So I don't want to repeat myself. I don't want to go on and on. We just have to watch closely to keep our ears to the ground. If Besigye is innocent, the truth will come out. If he is actually trying to remove this government by force of arms, the evidence can't be hidden forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peter, back to you. Is this really a legal case or a
Hello?
political case? Why is Besigye focusing on the law too much? Why doesn't he negotiate behind the scenes with the powers that be?
Uh, the sitting government, like the English call it, I don't know why they say the sitting government, but the presiding government is in power because of the gun. It is because of the gun, and only through and by the gun, that the sitting government is the government at hand. It came by the gun. It has been sustained like that. And I do not foresee any change or any diversion from that means by which it came. Of course, somebody can argue that it's now 5 or 6 times that it has been revoted into power. That can be politically, that would be a wonderful political statement, of course. But as far as history has it has little to do with the vote. Therefore, it understands, this government understands how inimical, how detrimental the gun could be, how impactful the gun could be. It can overlook any other thing, but it can never overlook the gun. Government eno esobola okutunula ng'abaana babasalaasala, if possible. Esobola okubeerawo ng'abakazi babasalaasala babatta. Esobola okubeerawo ng'obubbi bw'essente buyitawo. Ekyo n'ekyoverlookinga. Naye kyetasobola ku entertaininga, not even a second, is to have a gun, and is to own a gun when you do not you do not share the same breath with them. So if there are still allegations or accusations, this is what I understand, that this government and the gun, tolina ky'obagamba, kye kye basinga okutegeera. That's their trade. If not, their only trade. I submit.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Isaiah, are you home? I see you've changed gadgets.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, I'm here. Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Good, good. I'll give you a chance to talk about the AIDS issue and then the Besigye issue. Just choose which one you want to talk about in a few minutes.
Well, AIDS is a disease like any other disease. I don't know why it is special, but I can tell you why it is special. It is not special because it has been holding that prestige of being incurable. It has that PR because it is a business. So I don't know why we have AIDS Day, Malaria Day. Why do we even have these days? So it is an industry. It is an industry, and the World Health Organization, in collaboration with the pharmaceutical industries, promote such things and the so-called researchers, etc. So I would like to encourage everyone who has HIV. You are as sick as anyone who has flu. So treat it, and that is all, really. We should drop that whole thing of AIDS, sirimu, the stigma and the fear around that disease also is a disease itself. Actually, it is more, the biggest danger of HIV is the fear that has been given to it. That is the biggest danger for me. So, and this whole thing of I have HIV, no, you take
But it was a problem at some point, Isaiah. You can't entirely dismiss that it was almost an epidemic at some point.
Yes, Jethro. But which disease is not problematic? You give me one disease that is not problematic. You go to the hospital. And don't go to the word of HIV, go to the word of cancer, go to the word of bones. Go to those who are recovering from accidents. I can tell you, Mr. Moderator, the pharmaceutical industries and the World Health Organization has an agenda of making sure that this business runs. So what is so special about AIDS really? And HIV? Maybe it is because it is the sexual disease, but is it the only sexual disease? So this is how we have got here. AIDS, and then budgets are passed, and and vehicles are driven and apartments are raised because of that. AIDS. You as a Christian, I know that we are sick. Okay, we are sick. We are not only suffering only from AIDS. We are suffering from many things, gentlemen. There are some people who are sick who actually would prefer that they are HIV positive and not suffering from what they are suffering from. You people, we should get some time and go to the hospital. And then we see people who are sick. But of course, be careful. Be careful, like you sleep under the net, and of course, then transfer that net elsewhere and use the net, not just for pregnancies, but even for that. Use the net all over. So that is one, moderator. Any other thing? Besigye?
Yeah, Besigye.
Logically, we cannot trust the government in the same way we cannot trust Besigye.
Explain.
If government is just trumping up cases against Besigye, can we then be sure that Besigye does not want power by any means? Absolutely not. So Besigye wants power the same way those in power want it. So whoever says that the cases against Besigye are trumped up cases, then that person should also be reminded that Besigye also wants the government, and by all means, because first of all, he has already told us that the vote is not part of the plan of him getting the power. Okay, and he has called for peaceful, in quotes, peaceful demonstrations. So for me, both the government and the Besigye are one and the same. Not one and the same in the sense that they agree or they are just playing games, but one and the same that they are all fighters for the same thing. And I don't want to judge any fighter. I don't want to say that the government is fighting unfairly, and I also do not want to say that Besigye is also fighting unfairly. No, that's how you fight for power. And I hope that they all succeed. They all succeed. This whole thing of lawyers, it will not work. The lawyers will not work. That lawyer thing of Lukwago and Martha Karua is about blackmailing this government and tainting the image of President Museveni's pretense of democracy at the world market. And that is the only goal that they are going to score into. But as far as releasing Besigye is concerned, that will only happen if the two fighters agree on how to fight, what not to fight, when to fight, and where not to fight. So by all means, if Besigye wants to get out of prison, he has to sit on the table and negotiate his release. The Lukwago will just make noise as usual, and that will be it. That will be it. Because according to the Marshal Court, they have even started denying the whole thing of retirement from the army. They read, they read a clause that says that a military person does not retire. He transitions into the reserve force. Now, now, the case that Besigye is as a civilian is tried in the martial court, it does not stand as far as the military is concerned. Now that is the problem. That's the problem. Then Lukwago made a very, very interesting point, which I need to look into, because he claims that the people who try culprits or suspects in that court martial have no clue about the law. They are not trained in the law. And that is a little bit dangerous if the court martial is a court of law. Because we now need to find out, is the court martial a court of law? And is it one of the courts that are under the Supreme Court of Uganda? Because what Lukwago said is very interesting to dig into. If those guys are not lawyers and they have not even studied the law, is the court martial a court of law or a military court? Is a military court a legal court or not? So those questions are very, very interesting in the whole thing of Besigye. But like I said last time, and I had Musaz on my way mentioning it, when he was talking about the Kangwanjala conversation between the journalist and Mrs. Besigye. Winnie is a very is a huge thing in this whole drama. I don't know whether they have registered the PFF. Have they?
They were in the process. I don't know if they have concluded. We
Yeah.
need to find out.
So if they register the PFF, I think Winnie wants to stand somewhere. I really think Winnie wants to stand somewhere. And if she does, I will be one of the happy persons, because we need her back in the politics of Uganda. If she has already gathered all that she had to gather from the West, we really need Winnie back to the politics of Uganda. We need Salam Musumba back in that parliament. We need some reasonable leaders back to that parliament. We need this woman of Kasese, who was the leader of opposition. Who is she?
Winnie Kiza.
Yes, we need Winnie Kiza. We need all our leaders back into that parliament. We really, we are desperate of all those leaders back into that parliament. Because you can imagine, I'm sorry to say, if by any chance my elder brother General Muhoozi becomes the president and he has a parliament filled with the Segirinyas, really. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you, Isaiah. Abasajja baffe tebabaze mu magezi yadde yati. Kale. Musazi, I'm back to you on the issue of Isaac Ssemakadde Kimaze, who is the Uganda Law Society president. He famously campaigned with using the slogan "Bang the Table." He used words like removal, decorum, and things like that. Clearly, he's a non-conventional guy. He was overwhelmingly voted by the lawyers, the so-called elites of this country, by more than 70% of the vote cast that day. I remember they were in Munyonyo that day. I was passing by and the traffic, I couldn't believe the traffic jam in that area. Anyway, they voted him into office. Of course, he started off doing what Ssemakadde would do. I think dismissing some people from the law council, dismissing the attorney general. Then he went and said, he has done all sorts of things until he called the DPP, the V word from Karamoja. I don't want to repeat the word, but yeah, anyway, it's only after that I saw senior lawyers writing the same papers of this world, same paper Katenda and others, those senior lawyers saying this guy does not represent our views, he should respect the DPP, and so on and so forth. All sorts of people wrote and disowned Ssemakadde. And of course, others were like, but these guys are always silent when there are all sorts of violations of the law in this country. Why are they only coming out over just words? Which words can actually be defended in the law of using freedom of speech, and so on and so forth. Anyway, I just want us to discuss Isaac Ssemakadde versus the lawyer. So as a lawyer, really, Musaz, I'm back to you. Especially if you don't agree with Musaz. What not Musaz, Ssemakadde, sorry. What should you do? I know
No,
it's
for
not a
me,
fair question to you, but
I'm a journalist. I'm not a lawyer, but I've been reading about him. Sunday there was a very long article in Sunday Monitor about him, and when I was reading that article, I was surprised that some of the things he has been accused of doing, I mean, some of the things he is doing, he isn't supposed to do. For example, a guy called Chinobe, who was ULS president, said that there is an act of parliament that stipulates that the Attorney General and another, I think, Solicitor General have to be part of the Uganda Law Society. So there is no way you can just wake up and expel them, which Ssemakadde has done. There seems to be many things that he is doing, citing
Musaz, you're muted. Maybe you
sorry,
received the call.
I accidentally touched the button, but I was saying that there seems to be things that Isaac Ssemakadde is doing. He seems to be I mean, he's saying he's supported by the law, and then fellow lawyers are telling him, no, that's not true. A very good example is what I started with. So, is he really taking the Law Society into the right direction? His approach is very popular with the public because they are saying, you know, there's a lot of mess that the judiciary is doing. The judiciary is on the side of the NRM, and you need a president in the Law Society who is going to shake up things, which is what Ssemakadde is doing. But if he's going to shake up things, then it goes without saying he has to do things the correct way. The Law Society also seems to be confused about how, leaving Ssemakadde aside, how it really should be managing the affairs, its own affairs, because when he took what he called, implemented what he called an executive order, lawyers within the Law Society, one of them is Philip Munabi, I can't remember the name of the other gentleman, they crafted a document which was, by the way, poorly written. It wasn't even proofread. And they said
illegal.
they had it. Sorry?
It was illegal anyway.
Yeah. They issued this statement saying that they had expelled Ssemakadde from the Law Society. So lawyers issuing an illegal statement, the president of the Law Society saying the Attorney General, the Solicitor General cannot be part of the Law Society, but there is an act of parliament that says that they have to be. There is a confusion there. He may be very popular, that is Ssemakadde, with the public, but I think that some of the things he is doing, he isn't supposed to do. That is my opinion on Ssemakadde.
And that's what I want us to really focus on, because the law, I don't know what the law will say. I know most of these cases are in court. So our task here is just to discuss the other aspects of. First of all, does the president of the Uganda Law Society have that much power to even cause change within the judiciary? Like, why do these lawyers actually think real change is going to come from the law society by banging tables and I don't know what else? Just
That's
respond
a
to
very
that
interesting
before.
question. Because if you look at things he calls executive orders, and fellow lawyers are telling him, no executive orders in the law society. What does that mean? It simply means that the president of the law society is actually becoming dictatorial. He is using the law society to fight dictatorship, the kind Yoweri Museveni and his group are presiding over. But he is also, in his own way, acting very much like a dictator. That, for me, is a problem, and the public really doesn't seem to be taking note of these things. They're just giving him kudos, thumbs up. Hey, you are banging the table and that kind of thing. He is banging the table. He is shaking up the law society, but is he doing things the right way? The short answer, in my opinion, is no. And I just cited not many examples, but the few are very pertinent.
Thank you, Mr. Peter. Obviously, Ugandans, like many people, are excited about this Kavuyo. I think you saw in the court martial this week how a certain lawyer was assuring one of the I don't know if the guy was a lawyer, by the way. I was assuring him, I've studied the law, I know it in my head. What you're quoting is over rhetoric. I know things like that. People get excited about that way of banging the table. Peter, are you there? We like, I don't even know what the right word is. We like clips, clips you can cut out and share on social media and say, wow, one day, and so on and so forth. It looks like Peter is not here. Bob, can you talk? So I'm just wondering why the lawyers who overwhelmingly voted Ssemakadde are now turning around to disown him. Because that's what Ssemakadde would do anyway. Bob, are you there?
Yeah, Jethro, I'm not going to have much comment on this Ssemakadde thing because sinaba kubitegeera bulungi, but also ebintu by'amateeka nga togamanyi. It becomes very relevant for me to say,
this is by the way as such. Bagay balonda guy ali unconventional.
Yes.
I think you know the Ssemakadde we are talking about. It's so unconventional. His slogan is bang the table, and he's doing some banging the table really. And then other lawyers, including past presidents of the Law Society, are coming out to disown him. Senior lawyers like attend the same paper.
Anti senior lawyer kakati tunulira majority abamuvotinga. I mean, probably bavubuka. I don't think there was a good representation from the senior lawyers like the Kate guys, those guys in the judicial system, high ranking. I don't think they voted for him. So that is where they
Bob, I can't hear you anymore. Can you guys hear Bob?
No, and I cannot.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Okay, now we can hear you.
Yeah, but I was saying that I don't think majority of the senior councils Bakatende Bani voted him. Most likely he was voted by the young generation, and that's why I said the irony of numbers and democracy. For them, they knew exactly what they wanted, and they voted him in office. So definitely now that what they wanted to see is being reflected definitely the senior councils are now coming in to say we need to put order here. This is not right. So the issue is the lawyers, the majority of the people, was it 70% voted him to bang the table, knowing exactly what he was going to do. And the minority who are the seniors are in the system are saying, no, we have to fight this. This is not normal. This is, you get. So and that what causes that? So the likes of Katendes and the senior people, who we what in quote we may say are sane, have been duped and used by the system. So the way we see things is the people who argue, why do we see Bobby Wine on the ballot? Why Bobby Wine? Why not? It's because the current president, who quote unquote is sane, has failed to groom a person or a generation to give way to more able leaders who are not like quote unquote the Muyaga Bobby Wine, you know. So then Bobby Wine comes up and people are saying, we need an alternative. So this is the issue to do with the senior councils who have been who have allowed the regime to use them to side with them to allow these court martials of civilians without even a word, without. So the law society is supposed to actually probably govern and put in order its members. If you are the attorney general, you go ahead and allow civilians to be court-martialed without saying a word to these guys in court-martial who went to the law school, who you should be able to say something. So for me, the whole thing goes back to these seniors who are coming up and saying things that, oh no, this guy is vulgar, this is what you caused by allowing the regime to use you and stifle the voice of the people. So get ready for what is coming, because this is what the young generation, they wanted things to be shaken up. Get used to the rhetoric, get used to the vulgar language, because this is what you caused. If you had not allowed to be used, maybe another person, non Ssemakadde, could have been sitting in that chair. That is my submission, my comment on it.
Thank you, Bob. Nina, your hand is up. Do you want to respond to Bob?
Yes. Hi everyone. I'm happy I joined into the discussion. My name is Nina. Basically, I happened to actually this debate about Ssemakadde, I talked about it with some of our legal people like 2 days ago. But if you look at me, I would look at. Pardon?
I was saying we cannot hear you, but
Hello?
now you are.
We can hear you,
Okay.
Nina. Please proceed.
Okay. Personally, if you look at it would all start with, why did he expel Kiwanuka? Why? What was his intention? But if you read about what I see in media, sometimes some reports are biased and all that. But you see Ssemakadde's reason, if you read that article where he was saying that there's conflict of interest, you know. He was saying that the Attorney General and the Solicitor General membership on the council is mandated by law. Yes, he acknowledged that if you read his what? The article they wrote. But he said, but having them is conflict of interest. And now if you've worked with government, you know, that's why they say, let me say, like, one of the things is a public officer is not supposed to discuss politics, because there's a bit of conflict of interest. You're earning from government, now you're also discussing politics. But you saw his debate was about having the ULS independent, whether it should have government officials such as the Attorney General and his roles. And this has honestly fueled a lot of discussions
Nina,
beyond what we are discussing.
If the act that places the Attorney General and Solicitor General causes a conflict of interest, why doesn't he push for its amendments so that they're removed within the law? Does he need to issue an executive order to do that?
He's banging the table, like he said. No,
okay, I guess.
But to me, but to me, of course, there are people who like the scenario is there are
Of course.
people who everyone has an approach on how they handle things. Ssemakadde just wanted to open up eyes for people. It's like, yes, if you have these guys and entirely, honestly, they are entirely government and they are on this council, there is no way we are going to have independence. Because if you look at his reasons why he stood
But
for
you don't
council.
break the law to keep the law. You break the law to keep the law because that's what
No.
he's doing.
No. Actually, me, I think because he knew he can't, who expels who? Ssemakadde can't expel him. But me, I say his act was just an act of showing that, yes, I'm in office, I can do this, but honestly speaking, but it's now an eye-opener to the law council. Do they go back and sit and say, is it mandatory for them? Is it a way we can have independency? Because when you look at his reasons for standing, if you follow that debate, he was saying that he has come to look into corruption, misconduct. He came to help the minority. Now, I don't want, there are certain things I might not speak about, but maybe these people have been seeing these things happening and they have done nothing. So he's trying to clean his house and maybe say have a bit of independence and mark a checker here. So about Ssemakadde, that is all I would say. But if you allow me to say something small, Jethro, you just give me a minute. 1 second, please.
Okay, 1 minute.
Yes, my submission was on there's something I was following the debate of AIDS where Priest Isaiah mentioned something about HIV, and maybe this is what I wanted to submit. About HIV, if you've heard of the famous story where certain children went to swim, and while they were in the lake swimming, one of them was drowning. But as he was drowning, others started screaming and saying, "We need help. This gentleman is drowning. This child is drowning." So help came. Someone came to give him help. And this guy knew how to swim 100%. So when they came to help him out of the lake, he said, "No, leave me. I can swim. I don't need help." So the person left. The story said at the end of the day, the child drowned and died. What I meant to say about HIV is, yes, it is real. It is there. And what you need to know, if we need help, we get it and we leave. Thank you.
Thank you, Nina. You sound like an ambassador for HIV/AIDS. Thank you. Isaiah, we are talking about Ssemakadde. Bob, you have to say something in 1 minute?
Yes, just a quick one. In your comment, why you're saying why doesn't Ssemakadde push for the amendment? And I just wanted to comment to you that anything that the government definitely wants to keep an eye in everything. So if the amendment will be pushed to go to parliament, and you know what the majority of parliament will say, Muzeyi ajabba itawali abagambe kino bwe kiti kye twagala. So, and then it will be a war. So these things of pushing for things to change in line of doing the right thing, sometimes it's not possible given the current way politics is done in Uganda and elsewhere. Back in the early slavery years, if Rose Parker, by law, Black people are not supposed to sit in the middle or the front of the bus. They were supposed to sit at the back. But she went against the law and said this is discrimination. And she sat there in front. The police brought police to remove him. She refused. So she yagugubira. So some of these
she
things,
banged the table, basically.
She banged the table. No, this is not fair. And this is the same thing that Besigye has been pushing. So there's a lot of injustice that is going on in terms of, because it is we put it in the law, but it is injustice. So people, this is where the Ssemakaddes probably were pushed, say, man, you have to bang the table. This is too much. As I said, as we gave an example, you can, as an attorney general, as someone who is head of the law, you cannot see civilians being taken to court martials every day and you are not saying anything. It is injustice to the civilians. So tables have to be banged. I'm not sure banging the table the way he banged it, that I'm removing you from the law council, will do or is even possible. But we are just saying these are desperate moves given the desperate times. I just want to comment that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Isaiah, Ssemakadde is not the only one banging tables. 5 years ago, first of all, Isaiah, unmute yourself. I want to know if you can come in now. 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, certain people with an umbrella came and banged the table and they filled parliament. Besigye is on record saying that you corporates are very stupid. You are the worst kinds of people to ever happen to this country, and so on and so forth. So, is it then surprising when a Ssemakadde pops up and starts banging the table in the way that he does? And then, if he bangs the table, why do you, the same papers and Katende, the senior councils, now come out to condemn him when you're quiet on other issues affecting Uganda, which he's trying to bang the table about? You start from there.
Mu politics waliyo essomo lya public influence ng'oyagala okumatiza abantu bonna, naye ekimu ku aspect y'ebyo balina concept ya useful idiots. Ndowooza oli omusajja oba Stalin ye yagireeta, nja kuddamu nkebere bulungi wano ekitabo kyange wano, naye ka Stalin ye yagireeta. So abakulembeze bonna kasita babeera mu buyinza okumala ebbanga eddene bakuliyetinga culture ey'aba useful idiots. Ba useful idiots abo ne babakozesa okutuuka ku bigendererwa byabwe. So I think Uganda eri ku eyo level ey'aba useful idiots. Era kati be batekinze over, olaba alien skin ava mu kkomera ne wabeerawo ekivvulu, olaba presidential advisor full figure agenda ku TV ayina morning show gy'ayogererako eri eggwanga, bw'amala ne bakama be nabo n'abavuma. Olaba Genosale awandiikira ofiisi, awandiikira ofiisa oyo nga bamuyita Eddie Kenzo, n'amugamba nti handolinga department ye ey'abayimbi, abayimbi tebaddamu okudda eno eggulu. Olaba nti nti ba Eddie Kenzo ba presidential advisor, ba full figure ba presidential advisor. Okay. Kakati mu Uganda omuntu omudongo, president wa political party namba, ayina ba MP 5 mu parliamenti, naye nga mudongo budongo. So eggwanga eririmu
Eggwanga ly'abadongo ky'ogamba.
Eggwanga nga lirimu bujingo, ayina lunch hour buli lunaku, agaba soda, Kakande azimbye kalina, asimbisa abantu n'obudomola bafune amazzi g'omukisa. Makabaaya ali eyo yafunze abeeyo. Mbonye aguze ettaka ddene, azimbye n'ekkanisa, agenda mu ggulu buli wiiki emirundi 3. Kwegamba eggwanga erifaanana bwe lityo, lwaki bannamateeka balowooza nti bali special, nti bo tebasobola kubeera na full figure, tebasobola kubeera na Eddie Kenzo, tebasobola kubeera na Kyagulanyi, embeera bw'etyo. So Monitor njagadde nnyo okusimba ekintu kino nti obwonoonefu buno, kuba nze mbuyita bwonoonefu, bwe mulaba mu ggwanga lyammwe erya Uganda, mulekerawo okubukwekwa mu bulumi, kubanga abaagala okukisiiga akazigo bagamba nti abantu bali mu bulumi, abantu bali mu bulumi. Kati ky'ova olaba mbulera wootiikinga kubanga abantu bali mu bulumi. Nedda, abantu ababeera mu bulumi tebeeyisa nga bannayuganda bwe beeyisa. Abantu ababeera mu bulumi beekalakaasa, bwe beekalakaasa tebawemula mu kwekalakaasa kwabwe. Kinkoze bulungi Bob aleese oyo omukazi ow'oku bbaasi Rose Park talina n'omu gwe yawemula. Toyinza kukuba mmeeza ng'okuba ennyimba za Gravity omutujju omunyo. Gwe n'ogamba bunno ng'oli mu bulumi. Nedda. Ugandans tebali mu bulumi, Ugandans bwonoonese bwonoonese. Ekintu kino njagala tukyawule nti emize gino gyonna gye tukola twonoonese bwonoonese. Tetusobola kweka mize gyaffe mabega wa bulumi. Bulumi ki? Kiki ekiyimbisa Gravity oluyimba olugamba mbu omunyo? Bulumi ki? Kiki ekikwasa Ssemakadde akazindaalo naawemula omukyalo omukulu? Bulumi ki? Kagamba mwonoonese bwonoonesi moderator. Ate obwonoonefu obwo buvudde ku bakulembeze abalina ebigendererwa ebyabwe ng'abantu oba eby'obukulembeze bwabwe, ate ne badda mu society ne bagyonoona. Mwe ne mukwata essaawa 2 za airtime ne muziwa full figure ayogere eri eggwanga 2 hours. Jeno Mulamba n'awandiikira omuyimbi mbw awandiikidde ofiisa wa gavumenti. Nedda. Mwonoonese bwonoonese. Ssemakadde mwana mwonoonefu era Ssemakadde kifaananyi kya ggwanga lino. Kuba yunivasite yajja wano neeronda Bad Black mbu ye ambasada waabwe. Ekyo kyekisero kye kimu. Mulimu Babujingo, mulimu Bakakande, mulimu Bafulufiga, mulimu Bassemakadde, bwe butyo vuga mulimu Bakisa kya Mukama ba RCC abeeyambula ne bakunamira ensi eno. Ekisero ekyo kye kimu. Naye ng'abantu abasitudde ekisero ekyo be bakulembeze. Moderator, neyanza ssebo neyanze.
Musazi, your hand has been up for a while. Sorry, I wanted Isaiah to finish his submission. The Musazi has dropped off. Musazi, you had raised your hand. I don't know whether you wanted to give information or to also respond to this issue of Ssemakadde. Okay, I guess Musazi can't talk. Okay, so basically Isaiah Chagamba. Jeseri mu babujingo nga ba opinion leaders, ba full figure ba opinion leaders. Bakale crowds ezisinga gye bagoberera. Lwaki tetubeera ne Ssemakadde mu balooya? Kubanga bwetyo bwe tufaanana.
Is it my turn to speak?
Yes, Musaza, I called you, but you probably dropped off. Please say something because your hand was up.
I had a problem with the connection, but before I respond to what Isaiah has been saying, I want to respond to what the 2 previous speakers said about Ssemakadde, because it's all very well to bang the table. You can say there is a lot of injustice, but if you are doing the wrong thing, Jethro put it nicely when he said, you cannot use the law to break the law. Is that what you say?
You can't keep the law by breaking the law.
Exactly. You can't keep the law by breaking the law. So if you are a lawyer, please listen to me, guys. You are a lawyer. You are trying to do better than the previous Law Society presidents. It goes without saying that you have to follow the law. The law, as Jethro rightly pointed out, can be amended. So why not issue statements saying that we need to amend this clause, whatever it is, in the legislation governing the Law Society, and instead you just issue a statement saying, I have expelled the Solicitor General, the Attorney General from the Law Society Council. It can't work. Let me give you a quick example before I respond to Isaiah. Recently, the Kampala Capital City Authority advertised the job of the executive director. The former Vision Group CEO, Robert Kabushenga, applied for this job. The vacancy notes stated clearly that applicants have got to have a master's degree. Kabushenga knew, he's a lawyer, knew very well that he does not have a master's degree, but I think because he has an exaggerated sense of entitlement, he went ahead and applied. He went ahead and applied and was rejected. When he was rejected, he took to social media and told his followers, you know, guys, this morning I got a notification from the Public Service Commission telling me that I had not been shortlisted. Yes, you were not shortlisted, but the vacancy notes clearly stated that applicants for the position have got to have a master's degree. So how does this come in? If we have an act of parliament that says the Attorney General, the Solicitor General have got to be members of the Law Council, they have got to be there. They can only stop being there. They can only be removed if the law has been amended. Now let me turn to what Isaiah said. Isaiah said, I think that two wrongs cannot make a right. We do not change things for the better if we go on doing the wrong things. Thank you. That's my submission.
Okay, thank you, Musazi. I want us to get into our social topic. I know we can talk about this for another 30 minutes, but allow me to move on to another topic. I know we shall revisit this like we always do. We've revisited Besigye here, we revisited banking, finances, and so on. Let's go to the social topic. 2 weeks ago in Australia, they passed a law effective January 2025. No more social media for 16 years and below. They are going to try it for a year, and then I think they'll confirm it. There's something like that in the law. Basically, like I said in the introduction, by the time you bring a law, it's normally to remedy a certain situation. You don't just bring a law, with no issue you're addressing. So, Bob, I don't know what it is in America where you are, but we're here really to discuss whether, at what age should children or anybody be exposed to social media or technology for that matter. We're aware that social media especially evokes certain hormones in us, the dopamines and so on, which make us feel good. When I post a picture and you like it, I feel better about myself, I get validated. So I end up posting more. In the process, people have posted their naked pictures, videos, and things like that, just to get validation from these strangers all over the internet. Obviously, that is harmful to any individual. You can't keep getting validation from externally, especially from strangers. Among other problems social media has caused. In the beginning, first topic we discussed was AIDS, HIV/AIDS. One of the reasons of the prevalence of HIV/AIDS, by the way, even in this Uganda, was is social media, I may add, among other reasons. The fact that now people advertise sex on their profile pictures, their WhatsApp groups where sex is on sale and things like that. So, yeah, that's what I want us to discuss in this social topic part. At what age should we expose our children or allow them to have access to technology? I know that many of us parents, even now, when a child is disturbing, you call it quite a simple. When you give the child a phone, They go and either watch cartoons depending on their age, or they'll do whatever they want. I know many parents who have actually bought phones for their 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, thinking they can manage themselves around these gadgets. Yeah, so that's how we're going to move in this social topic. Peter, are you back? And I also know there are adults who cannot manage themselves
Yes.
on social media. They're addicted.
Yes.
So is it an issue of just age, biological age, or there are other factors to consider? Social media, Peter.
If the question is social media, not phones, I think there should be an age where children should be allowed to use social media. That is from study. It should be understood psychologically, the psychology and the biology of the children, but also the social part of the children. I think they should steer clear from at a certain, there should be a certain age. Even using the phones, by the way. Nti amasimu emyaka bwe giti muntegeera bweti amasimu gakozesebwe. I always want to first go back to the question okugaana abaana social media oba okubakkiriza. What problem are we addressing? Probably we can start the debate there. What is the need? What need is society answering by either denying or allowing children of a certain age to use social media or to use phones? I submit.
I thought you were going to help us with a response. But yeah, that's what we're discussing here. Bob, can you talk? I know this is morning for you, so you're probably in office. When you get a chance to talk, just raise your hand or unmute and speak. Isaiah, I know we have discussed phones before here. Like I said, some of these topics keep coming up, but I thought this was quite intriguing. For a Western world country like Australia, to actually feel this is a big problem which requires such a response. Is this the first of many? I mean, by many other countries following suit. Is it actually the right solution? Or should we just educate these young people before we even expose them to technology and teach them responsibility and so on, so that when they have the technology, then they can know how to handle it? What do you think?
I think that's where most of us have gone wrong. We have gone wrong at the stage of assuming that assuming a class where it isn't. Because I see most of us arguing that no, you just have to teach your child what to do and what not to do. Then you let that be. I can tell you, we should stop guiding lakes and stagnant waters. We can only guide a river. Until it is a river, then we should guide. So I don't know whether I'm speaking in parables, but
yes, you are. Please explain.
Which children we should distinguish between which children to guide on something and which children to bar from things. As simple as that. And I think that's what Australia is doing. It has put there an age limit, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yes, they have said that from this age to that age, there is no social media. Why that age? Because that is an age that you cannot guide. So you just blow. You just have to block that. All right. And I think China does that. I am told, I need to confirm that they don't have a TikTok version like that of ours. There is different. It's not like ours, yet they are the makers of TikTok. So moderator, we the parents need to stop this nonsense of of talk to your children, guide them, show them the dangers, then let them choose. That is the Western way of parenting, and I have always warned you, the West has nothing to teach us about parenting and marriage. The West is struggling with the children because of that kind of approach to parenting. So it is high time that we take the tabs away from our children, unless if they are these writing pads, etc. It is high time we decided who watches TV in our families. We should do that, and who doesn't watch TV as a law and a rule of the family. Who owns a phone and why and at what age. So serious countries like Australia have actually realized that they are going to lose their next generation if they don't protect it from this technology and this exposure. There's no reason as why you should expose your children to all sorts of nonsense or to unfiltered content. You know, there's an entire country here in the world, I think it is that of the Kims. They don't have all this. They do not have all this. The leadership there has blocked everything. And I think they are healthier than we are. So thank you, moderator. I can see people are chasing me away. Thank you. The moderator has muted.
Yeah, Isaiah, may I just add one comment to your submission? Given our society and its makeup, I'll give a specific example. When I was growing up, I grew up from a very strict dad and mom, especially dad, whereby things of boy and girl, I mean, you tell them, you know, they've seen you with a girl, they've seen you with a boy, very strict religious upbringing, very strict moral, bringing. But to be specific, I mean, one of our elder sisters got pregnant when she was in senior 4. She was running up with, different guys around, teenage life. So anyway, what I want to submit is that in a society where a parent is not at home, akeera kuyiriba, abana n'abaleka awo, with the neighborhood or whoever they interact with, bw'ogamba omwana nti sijja kuwa simu, no social media, sijja kuguidinga on what to do, do this way, there is a very high chance that the curious kids we have, the kind of kids we have, will find a way of accessing that social media. Whichever way, they will find a way. And once they do, if they don't have guidance from you, because whenever they look at you, they look at a terrorist who is stopping them from accessing ABC, they may end up in the wrong side. So me, I still maintain that we still need to guide them as a first principle. So that bit of guidance on, what to do, the discipline is for me a major deal rather than saying you cannot touch this, you cannot have that. I think we need to emphasize the control and discipline. Again, the age group can come in, and discipline has to really be emphasized because, as I'm saying, kids will find a way of accessing these devices either through a friend, through a neighbor, through these internet cafes which need money, and you are not at home, you are busy reading elsewhere. You come back from home, find your kid seated in the sitting room, not knowing where he has been. So that is what I wanted to comment on your submission.
Thank you, Bob. Isaiah, would you like to respond to Bob before I bring Musazi?
No, the problem with the modern so-called guidance in courts is that it is a liberal guidance. Why is blocking not part of guidance? Because you see, we are vulnerable parents. First of all, we are justifying our failure by abusing our own children. The parent is kuiriba, we are too busy for children. Why are we too busy to parent and not too busy to make babies?
Making babies takes a few seconds.
Exactly. Why do we have that? So why don't we have those few seconds to block and cage our children? Because we know the generation is bad. It is really bad. No child takes your guidance, I can assure you. Why? Because as far as the teenagers are concerned, and I'm speaking by experience because I am a parent to a teenager, as far as teenagers are concerned, the parent, rule number one, the parent is always wrong and always against me. That is the rule number one of all teenagers. So however much you guide, when they go outside there and other guiders and guidances come in, the external guidance will overrule your guidance. So we are at a point where if we cannot parent, let us cage them like Australia has done. Block them away from this. Fini. And we are good to go. But this pretense, this is all pretense. Okay, the West has been guiding. What quality of children do they have? They are on drugs. They are wasted. Our former parents were not guiding. They were blocking. How did we turn up? Better. So this nonsense of liberalism and democracy will continue anyway, dominating, I know, because the fools are the majority. And we will end up like this.
Okay, let me bring in Musazi now.
Hello?
Bob, I'll give you a chance to respond.
Thank you, Jethro.
Peter, let me finish with Musazi.
My view on this is very brief. I think that mobile devices, smartphones, tablets should be not used by our children until they are 18, for the simple reason that we've seen a lot of junk on social media, which is easily accessible as long as you have an internet-enabled device, smartphone, tablet. There's a lot of obscenities people on TikTok make. In fact, these days, if you just tap on any video on TikTok and you are in the presence of your children, you are in trouble. Because the next thing you will hear somebody blurting out something you really wouldn't want your children to hear. If they are 18, because that is the age of consent, they are now viewed as adults, and they hear someone is uttering obscenities, a singer is giving lessons, but he's using very obscene, vulgar words. That's okay. They are now men and women. They take full responsibility for whatever they are doing. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you. Peter? Yes, Peter.
Nobaako
Peter?
eddalu lyo. Hello?
Yeah, you proceed.
Yes. Hello. Mbadde ngamba nti tukulidde mu mulembe omuli abazadde nga bw'oba oyina Hello?
I think it's my network. Please proceed.
No, it is.
Yes, but
Yeah, okay.
okay, am I back?
Yes.
Mbadde ngamba nti twakulira mu masomero, mu bazadde, abazadde abaatukuza ng'obeera ku ssomero n'obaako ensobi gy'okoze, HM oba akakiiko aka disciplinary committee ne kawandiika nti bakususpending oddeyo eka, nga bw'oba waakuddayo ogenda wa ssengaawo, mwannyina wa taatawo, nga yasobola okwogerako ko ne kitaawo, ate nga ne ssengaawo amaze kkubabika n'akuyamba, kubanga toyinza kudda wa taata mbu simanyi mbu mwafulumye ne mugenda mugula capati kati ne mukomawo ne bakugoba. Nga tosobola. Twakulira mu bazadde ng'omusujja gukwatira ku ssomero mu kisulo, end of term exam n'omisinga pepa ya kamasi, n'oddayo eka n'opresentinga report, taata n'akubuuza kamasi nga simulaba ku ripooti, n'omugamba daddi nali mulwadde, n'akuba oluyi ne weerumika, n'akubuuza ekibuuzo, tewakola kibuuzo, wali mulwadde, wali ofudde, wali ofudde. Kakati abazadde abo ne tukula, leero ne tuvaamu abantu. Ne guno omulembe gwe tukuzizza oguli ku kimanyi children's rights, gwe guleese abantu bazaake, ba alien sikini, baani abalala, amonga, simanyi amongo.
Peter, era nayo tuseeyo.
Gye emirembe gye gireese abo, simanyi Ssemakadde, kwegamba olaba ba Ssemakadde abakulidde ku social media abatalina muzadde. Senga weetegereza abantu abo bonna be tulaba bo nga tebalina bambi bazadde, tulina simanyi Gravity omutujju, kakati sincerely. So point yange eri mu kukatiza musumba kyabadde agezaako okulambulula nti tusalewo tubeere abazadde eri abaana bano abali in our charge, abali ffe betuwanika, kuba ffe bawanika baabwe. Ddala ddala mwana kika ki gw'oyinza okugaidinga? Kwegamba nange kinneebuuza, kale tubakkiriza bakozesa social media n'amasimu, naye mwana kika ki gw'ogaidinga? Gw'ogaidinga odinga tobangako naye era tobangako muzadde we. Nja kusooka nkomaawo ssebo.
Kale, so okwongerezaako guiding nga bwe nagambye mu introduction, naffe abazadde tetusobola kwefuga ku social media. Osanga n'omusajja omukulu nga naye yennyini social media emutabukidde. Akati otasobola guidinga mwana kuba naye yennyini yeetaaga buyambi. I think that's also the problem. Ani atanayogera? Ebbi, can you talk? I need your input. My brother is growing up. Ono mwesimu ku myaka emeka? Hello? Okay, Isaiah, I think I saw your mic. Ebbi, my brother at 5 years has a phone. Kale, Isaiah? Nalwenga ayogera. Nti abazadde naffe tetusobola kwefuga ku social media. Kakati tufugireko abaana.
Anti moderator abazadde abatasobola kwefuga, they are of that generation. You see, the problem that we have today, moderator, is that we have children who are parenting children. So children give birth to fellow children, and this is the challenge that we have here. I normally tell this story. We are put on a WhatsApp group of the class of our children as parents. So we are put there, and the WhatsApp group, the teachers and the administrators of that WhatsApp group told us that they had put us in that group so that they can make communication smooth. They will be communicating everything, etc. Parents started fighting exchanging words in that WhatsApp group, and they started insulting each other, including they even insulted the teachers and what parents. So the administrators decided to block posting. So all parents in that group, we are blocked, we can't post. Why? Because we fail to control ourselves. So I looked at that scenario of that WhatsApp group, and I imagined if we the parents are this quality, what about the children? So this is the challenge. This is the challenge. We also need to be the parents need to be parented themselves, and that is the struggle we are into. And I can assure you, you cannot guide fools. You cannot guide the ignorant. You don't. You don't even lead them. You rule them. So what Australia is doing is ruling, and that is all right. Why? Because these children are fools, are ignorant, who assume that they know, and yet they don't know. And that is the worst part, that worst stage of ignorance, the assumption that you know within ignorance. So you can't guide such a person. They are not teachable. I am telling you, like I said earlier, I am a parent of a teenager. One of the things I have discovered is that the only way that God punishes us for all the things we did to our parents is by making us a parent to a teenager. There you are punished for everything you have ever done to your parent. When you are a parent to a teenager, you repent all your sins, and then you appreciate your parent for what you took them through after seeing what this child is taking you through. So a teenager, you can't guide a teenager. I mean, in everything at least. You just have to put him in a cage because they are wild. They're just wild. So for me, I insist, Africa has got the best knowledge as far as marriage is concerned, as far as parenting is concerned. And I still ask all the parents, if we cannot parent, if we don't have time to parent, we should also not have time to make babies. Oh, now, on this point, I agree with the Western people, because Africans are still locked in the other old tradition of making babies luxuriously, but they no longer have time for children. So someone is giving birth to a children, and then he goes to the shop and buys a tub and gives the tub to the child and walks away from that child. Because that is what your parents are doing. You're buying computers, you're buying tabs, you're buying phones, you're buying TVs, and giving to your children. Let me ask you, were you given one when you're at that stage? The answer to most of us of my age, the answer to most of the parents of my age will tell you, no, we are not given one. So my question is, if you are not given a phone and you are not given a tab, why are you giving it to your child? Did you have a maid at home when you are growing up? No, you did not. Then why are you bringing a maid at home where there are children? Why can't those children do the house chores? So why are we giving our children what we are not given, and then we expect them to turn out the way we turned out? Why are we not creating environments? Because we can still create these environments, those environments that nurtured us. We can still create those environments that nurtured us to become who we are, so that those environments can shape our children. Our parents were not afraid to hurt us. Why are we afraid that the child is hurt? What kind of nonsense is this? The child is abused, he's psychologically tortured. Nonsense! Psychologically tortured? What is psychologically tortured? He's stressed. Why? Because you didn't bring the ice cream that you wanted. It's not that you didn't bring the ice cream, but you didn't bring the actual brand. What is this?
Bob.
This is Satan. This is
Bob,
Satan.
Bob wants to respond to you.
Yeah, no, I just want to comment on this, Banange. I think in the Bible we have, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, in the Bible, Jesus talks about putting new wine into old wine skins. The parents on this platform have to wake up and know that we are no longer in the 80s. We are no longer in the 90s. We are in the era of social media. We are in the era of computers. We are in the modern era. So you cannot put your child into the old setup and you're trying to fit them into the new setup. Kids will go to school and computer will be the thing. They need to use computer. They need to know how social media, they will teach them this is the way of life in the now. If you want your kid to live in the 80s, please let them live in the 80s. Take them back in the 80s. We need to find what we call maybe a balance. How do we parent kids in the modern way? How do we have kids fit in the current setup and still impart those values, but completely dismissing and saying, no, and find a balance. For me, this is what I think. Because the kids in Uganda are not on an island. Again, as I said, while you move away from home to go and work, your kid is going to remain there and he's going to be exposed with other kids who are using social media. So you are caging, you are blocking, will have a limit to where it can go. So I think we just need to find how to balance this up, but completely saying that no this, no that, how we grew up without it, we turned out well. My friend, there are those that grew up like us and did not turn out like us. There are those that turned out like us and they were not raised in the same way we were raised. So I think for me, that is what I wanted to comment on as we go forward. We need to find a balance because this is new wine. We cannot fit it in old wine skins.
Wow, Bob, passionate defense of your position. Isaiah, you want to respond?
I also agree with Bob.
Petron wakajja soka wefuke.
Yeah.
Priest Isaiah agenda maaso.
Moderator, first of all,
In 1 minute.
Bob should be careful applying the Bible as paint. But since today is not Monday, I will not go into his new wine and the old whatever. The whole thing is, you guys have been at the universities with these children who have grown up with the tabs, and then when you are in the computer lab, they are the most ignorant with the computer before them. Do you know why they are the most ignorant? Because the tabs and the computers you buy for them are for video gaming. So this is why I said, if you can't parent a child, do not sire that child. And what do we mean by parenting? By parenting, it means that if you buy a tab for your child, you are going to teach your child how to use a tab and what to use a tab in context of the future. Earlier on, I told you that while Uganda has TikTok, or Africa has TikTok, a version of TikTok, China has a different version of TikTok content. But most of you parents here who have bought tabs to your children, what are the apps installed in that tab? Let us be honest. Because the problem with these parents is that when you show them the way, they come out combatant. And yet, on the ground, they are not as practical as what they say. These tabs are just excuses for us not to parent. We just want to get rid of our children. At home, we give them tabs. In the morning, we carry them to schools and throw them in the kindergarten. That's what we do. I have been at the university. Unfortunately, Peter has dropped off. You go to the universities and put a laptop before these children, these Gen Zs, put a laptop before them and tell them to open the computer programs, and then you see. Zero. And these have phones. They have everything at home. So this whole thing, guidance, that is what I'm talking about. You are just buying time for yourselves by sacrificing your children to these machines, and you are not present there to guide them. Why? In fact, you can't even guide them because you also don't know. You buy a tab and download 15 games. So I don't understand what you mean by new wine skin, old wine skin. Life has not changed. Values have not changed. Values are constants. They are only discovered. It's not a new value. If it is a value, it has just been discovered. So gentlemen, if you look at the tab of your child and write down all the apps that are installed in that tab and tell me how useful are those tabs, are those apps in your child's tab or in your child's computer? How are they useful in the future life? That is an apology of failed parenting. We buy them tabs, we fix them on TVs, as we're also minding our business. We don't talk to them, we don't parent them, we just sacrifice them to technology. And then we have our peace, and they have their struggles.
Okay, thank you, Isaiah. Let me give a chance to, Peterson, you've just come, but we're discussing the law in Australia, which has just been enacted, barring 16-year-olds and below from social media. What are your thoughts? We have very few minutes to go. Peterson, you were supporting Bob earlier. I don't know whether you had got his position before you started supporting.
I supported Bob because of his submission. You see, we have been here for so many years. They say millions of years. And there's nothing new under this earth. In fact, this debate of technology, social media, Simanyi, the generation, what. Me, what I want to say is that we shouldn't really fear, because even if we fear, even if we do what, these things have happened and have gone. So as we're talking about social media, there's something that was being talked about in the 14th century, which was affecting the youth. By then, they passed it. We will be here, some people will be here in 3000, in the 30th century, and they will be saying there will be another problem. So I think we just need to get over adapting. Like how Bob has said, there's no way that we can take away social media by law or by what. Nowadays, you find that each student goes to school with a phone. Now, what we have to do is how do we adapt to these new changes? But the things have come and they're not going anywhere, and we cannot avoid them. Bob told you, you might deny your child a phone, but his peers have the phones. So how will we stop them from accessing the content the peers are getting?
Okay, thank you, Peterson. Passionate defense. Musaza, I saw your hand up. Just come in before I go to my mother, Brenda. Yes,
my hand was actually, I forgot to put it down, so I really don't have anything to say. You can proceed and give Brenda the opportunity to speak.
Okay, Brenda, my mother, are you there? I know you're a trained psychologist. At what age does a human being have the, I don't know what to call it, to handle social media?
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Ideally, I would totally agree with the government of Australia because
Your network is terrible. You also need to be banned from this Zoom, Nancha.
the ability to think abstractly. That is to say, to think on. Can you hear me? Can I talk?
Yeah, woli yogera kale.
Okay. Kati Shembade ngamba nti ideally I agree with the government of Australia with what they did because omwana afuna ability etandika okulowooza ku nsonga n'atandika okulowooza ku nsonga n'ebisobola okugivaamu nga tagirowoozezaako selfishly nti bwe mba njagala kulya mmere essaawa eyo balina gimpa bwe bati bagimpadde babi atandika okulowooza bw'atyo nga amaze kufuuka teenager ng'atandise okufuuka omuvubuka ng'ayingidde adolescence kati nze ideally kye nandiyagadde nti kituufu gavumenti kyeyasazeewo yagenza okukisalawo ng'emaze okutuula n'abakugu ne batuula ne balaba nga effects ezo eza social media ziri adverse ku baana kuba tebannaba kutegeera kwawula wakati wa kirungi na kibi bulungi kati n'etuuka ng'eyagaliza abaana bayo n'egamba nti indeed kyandibadde kigwanira abaana baffe ne batandika okugenda mu social media nga bali certified ng'abantu abakulu naye kaakati engeri gye kiri nti era still abantu tebagenda kutwala tteeka eryo bayinza obutatwala tteeka eryo seriously kye ndowooza nti abazadde kati kyandibadde kibagwanira okuba nti bwe kiba kisoboka bwe baba tebasobola kutwala gavumenti nga kye yagambye abaana okuba restrictinga completely okubeera nga tebabawa social media mpaka nga batuuse kw'egyo emyaka at least babeere nga babawa guidance naye ne guidance eyo nze siraba nnyo bw'eneekola kubanga togenda beera na mwana buli kaseera togenda kubeera na control na bye bagenda kwogera gy'ali togenda beera na control na biki byagenda okugwako ku social media so nze ŋŋamba mu butuufu gavumenti ntuufu omwana yandigwanidde okugenda ku social media ng'amaze kuweza emyaka egyo nga 16 nga atereddemu tewali makulu nnyo g'agenda kukola ku social media.
Kale Nancha, thank you very much. We've run out of time. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining. Ebbi badenda ba defense yo mu chat. Bobo enayo muwagizi omulala mu chat. I think you've been seeing. Yeah, thank you for joining. We'll meet again on Monday. Yeah, for our Q&A. Otherwise, God bless and keep you until we meet again. Peace and out.
Jet.
You moderator.
Hey.
And wait, Petson.